All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Generations GDO Cliffjumper. A kind of neat figure. If you're unfamiliar with what GDO is, it was part of the 2010 2011 Generations line. I think that they were all originally China market exclusives or something, and then they ended up getting released to the US. But they're for all intents and purposes just like basic Generations figures. But what's kind of neat about this one is basically this is just like it's almost exactly the same as Transformers Prime First Edition Cliffjumper, except he's got a new head that looks more like G1 styled rather than like with the, kind of bowl themed aesthetic of Prime Cliffjumper. And yeah, I don't have like the Prime Cliffjumper. This is the only version of this mold that I have. As I understand it, I think that the plastics used for the red are a little bit darker and the blue is a little bit lighter, I want to say. And then other than that, the only big difference is the head sculpt. But yeah, it's a really nice car mode. I do like this kind of car for Cliffjumper with the hood ornament up there with the bull horns there. I think that is kind of neat. And yeah, it rolls decently well. It's a really nice car mode, and it's got a very neat transformation to get here. This Autobot logo is just a sticker that I put on, but he also does have this very, very tiny little decaled raised Autobot logo, which is cool to see. He does have it on the other side, but it's not actually, picked out with that decal, but yeah, whatever. Still, very nice car mode here. In terms of a comparison in this mode, here he is with Kingdom's Sideswipe, so you can see what he looks like with an average modern deluxe. And then here he is with the more recent version of Transformers Prime Cliffjumper that we got that was like reusing the chase mold here. And yeah, no, they compare pretty nicely, actually. I do still like the original's car mode better. I do think just like the shaping in the front here with the grill and the headlights looks a little bit nicer, but still it's a pretty decent update there. But that's what the two of them look like together. Definitely a little bit smaller than the older one there, but that's okay. To get onto transformation, he's got some really neat stuff going on. So first thing you want to do is take these door panels here, and they will untab from the side here and bring out these whole sections like this. And then you want to take this, and it's on a swivel right here, which you rotate down like that. And then take this section. It will kind of double hinge into itself here to create the thigh. You want to take this little tiny window piece here and fold it to the inside of the leg. Take his foot there and fold it out like that, and then take this whole panel and flip it around like that, and that's the leg transformation. And that is just really cool. I've always really liked that that leg transformation. So obviously we'll just do that on both sides here. And there you have his legs pretty much all done. Then you want to take this little piece here, just fold that out like that to give it the clearance here. So you can kind of take this whole section, you bend it down a little bit on this hinge here to make it easier for this whole section to rotate around just like this. Then you want to take the trunk section here, and it will untab and double hinge up, and then rotate down these sections here, kind of unfolding the arms. And you can take these panels with the wheels on them and just rotate them in like this to sit on the back of the arms, and take this whole section, split it down the middle. This is the one part of the transformation I'm a little bit dubious about, because to get the clearance to untab these tabs from this section, you do kind of have to force it past. It scrapes the paint off these, which are clear plastic, and then the slots are also clear plastic and has a tendency to kind of chip some of the paint off of that too. It's not as elegant as I think it ought to be, but it's not too terrible. And then you fold down the arms like this, and then just rotate the forearms forward at the bicep swivel. Then you want to take his head and rotate it up. The panel it's on is actually kind of tight, so I do find that if you're not careful, you can just kind of rip his head off of the ball joint there, but it's not too bad. And then what you kind of want to do here is you want to take this section with the windshield. It very subtly splits here, and then there's a little tab here on this section when you rotate it in to kind of hold that open. And then you take this whole section here. You've got these little panels in the front here, which will actually rotate to the inside, which gives us clearance for this piece to kind of sit up like that. And then there's a tab right on the inside here that will go into the back of his neck there. So you just want to tab that in, and then take the front headlights, and they'll actually rotate down around the waist, and then clip over the windshield, which also helps hold it open. And there we have GDO Cliffjumper in his robot mode. And yeah, I love that transformation. I think that's super cool. Now, obviously, his design here is very much based on, the Transformers Prime Cliffjumper, just with a new G1-ish head sculpt. It's definitely, still a bit stylized to kind of like fit the proportions in the new body. And I decently like it here. I think that's a kind of cool head sculpt. He didn't originally have an Autobot logo in there either. That's another sticker that I put in. I just like the look of that kind of, the chest opening and there being like a hot Autobot logo hidden in there. But yeah, otherwise he's a pretty cool looking robot. Definitely he's got some kind of strange proportions, which are mostly accurate to the Transformers Prime design. But there was another Transformers Prime, like the RID version of Cliffjumper, not RID the show, but RID the toy line in Transformers Prime. All stupid and confusing. I've always preferred the look of this guy because he doesn't like cheat to get like the chest on the front there. So I've always really liked this one. Now he doesn't come with any weapons or anything because he actually has integrated weapons, just like a lot of the Transformers Prime characters did, where you take his hand. How do you want to rotate it? I guess you want to rotate it this way so that the palm is facing up. And then when you open this section here, which was one of the transformation joints, you can flip the hand around and then close that back up to reveal his like triple barreled guns here. And he's got that gimmick in both hands. Yeah, that's really cool. I do like the integrated, obviously weapons there where it's, you don't have to add on an extra part like the new version is. But yeah. I kind of wonder, actually, I think maybe you're supposed to have the arms like this in like the gorilla pose, because I think that's the detailing that was in the front in the show. But yeah, if it's got wrist swivels, I always prefer to have the elbows facing the proper direction, but I'm not sure what way that's supposed to go. But, I don't mind it being this way, even if those weren't intended to be the front of the arms there. But yeah, no, I love that weapon bit there. In terms of articulation, his head is on a ball joint. It can rotate around like this. He does kind of have like this big collar in the back, which kind of bumps in occasionally, but it's pretty free roaming there. His head sculpt does look a little bit like small in proportion to his body, but and also like weirdly high up. Like I think it would be a little bit more sunken down, but obviously the sculpting was made to accommodate the Transformers Prime design, not this new head sculpt. So he's got ball joints at the shoulders, which are attached at kind of a weird angle. So, you can get like all the typical, movements there, but it is kind of weirdly limited in some weird specific ways. Also, these ball joints have definitely loosened up a little bit over time, but it's not too terrible. You can also use this transformation joint a little bit to like get a little bit extra movement, but it doesn't really need it. He's got a bicep swivel, a double jointed elbow, so you can get the full curl there. Wrist swivels, like I said, they're kind of tight. Nothing at the waist, just because of how all that flips around for transformation. Ball joints at the hips, which can go forward and back and out to the side. He's got a internal thigh swivel there. He's got about that much bend at the knee until things start kind of splitting here, which you could still kind of use, but yeah, so he doesn't have a very deep knee bend, unfortunately. You could also use like the leg transformation joints for some things, although you can't really get it. Yeah, you can get it to like make it so his legs are like slightly bow-legged, but it's not really useful for much. And then his feet are attached via ball joints on the side here, so they can tilt pretty far forward and back, but they get like just a tiny amount of ankle tilt there. So, aside from lacking a waist swivel, he's pretty modern in terms of his articulation there. But yeah, in terms of comparisons in this mode, here he is again with Kingdom Sideswipe, so you can see pretty much an average size deluxe there. And then here he is again with the legacy version of Transformers Prime Cliffjumper. And yeah, I really like the two of them together because like he's got, in theory, a bit more of like a G1ified body type, but he's got the Prime head, whereas he's got, in theory, a bit more of a G1ified head, but has the Prime body. So I feel like they kind of make an interesting little duo on the shelf there. But yeah, I like both these figures. I do really appreciate the kind of like engineering things going on with this. I mean, him too, but just like the tricks to like get the headlights in the front, whereas like I mean, obviously they didn't with the RID version, but a lot of times they just like wouldn't even bother trying to get things in the proper places nowadays. They would just like make it a cheated part, which I have always hated. So I appreciate like getting the headlights in the front there. I mean, I guess notionally on the original toy, like the one part that's like maybe cheated is I think the hood ornament is kind of implied to be part of his like robot mode head. But you know, obviously I don't really expect them to do that. He does also have like sculpted wheels in his hips back here, which I think is stupid because you can see all four of his wheels. So it's like, what does he turn into robot mode and then have two kind of like weird small red wheels just as part of his legs? Like, just leave the sculpting off. If you can't get it there, just don't bother. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. He's got pretty decent articulation aside from the lack of a waist and his knees being a little shallow. I love the whole flip around gun gimmick thing, and I just think the transformation is so fun and interesting. So yeah, he's a pretty cool figure, and you know, it's really like half of or 6 of one, half a dozen of the other in terms of him and the Transformers like Prime first edition version. It's just dependent on which head sculpt you like better, but either way, he's a pretty cool figure, all things considered. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to him. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I do reviews every Tuesday and Thursday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Generations GDO Cliffjumper.